Chelsea have started negotiating with Crystal Palace defender Maxence Lacroix, and several reports seem to be indicating that selling Trevor Chalobah to Como is going to be what makes it happen. Kieran Gill gives us a very small indication of Xabi Alonso's tactical ideas for Chelsea. Giovanni Quenda is putting in the hours to make sure he impresses new boss Xabi Alonso. Simon Johnson reports that multiple clubs are interested in signing Malo Gusto, and apparently Real Madrid are currently negotiating terms with Enzo Fernandez, but I seem to remember that already happened. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sink, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And when it rains, it pours. We signed Marco Palestra today, and now it looks like we are diving straight in for Maxence Lacroix, so let's get into the news. Fabrizio Romano posted this: Chelsea have started talks for Crystal Palace centre-back Maxence Lacroix. Understand CFC will sign one or even two centre-backs this summer based on outgoings. Chalobah is wanted in Italy, and Chelsea work on several options. Many things to unpack here with this little bit of news, and obviously the big one being Maxence Lacroix. Finally, we're getting a ready-made Premier League defender. It's another French centre-back, which might be an issue for some guys when you consider, Axel Disasi, Wesley Fofana, Benoit Badiashile. None of these guys have really worked out for us, but Maxence Lacroix, let's be honest, looks like different gravy. I'm really excited for this signing. I imagine we're going to start finding out soon the types of money that are going to be involved in it, and there was some news to say that Crystal Palace didn't really want to entertain the idea until they'd nailed down their replacement. Price posted this via Fabrizio Romano as well. Initial approaches already made and deal on. Lacroix is in a higher position on Chelsea list than Jacobo Ramon and more. The French defender would be open to the move, with talks about to start and develop soon. Chelsea are already on it. First Palestra, next Lacroix. So the thing that was interesting here specifically, because obviously we already know about the Lacroix stuff from Fabrizio Romano, but it's the extra tidbit about Jacobo Ramon, right? So when the news broke about Palestra yesterday, almost instantly afterwards, there was talk about Chelsea inquiring about Jacobo Ramon from Como. Now, we're going to get into the Trevor Chalobah angle about this in a minute, but it looks like we are really starting to shake things up. It's a shame because I've done a keep, loan, sell. Lots of us have done keep, loan, sales. If you're a Chelsea fan, lots of you have probably watched them, and the majority of Chelsea fans, if not all of them, would all be really happy to see Trevor Chalobah stay on board. But I kind of foresaw this happening. I remember talking about this halfway through the season. Trevor Chalobah has been the starting centre-back at Chelsea for the last 18 months. We're buying a Maxence Lacroix, and it's not to compete with Trevor Chalobah, right? We're buying Maxence Lacroix to be a partner to Levi Colwill, and Trevor Chalobah would want to have to be happy going down the pecking order and becoming a backup centre-back, and just to stay at Chelsea. I just had a feeling that wasn't going to happen. He's an individual person with his own career goals. He wants to go and be a first-team centre-back. I don't blame him for that at all, to be completely honest. So Jacobo Ramon is an interesting option. Now, there was mentions about us negotiating with Como for him, but what hasn't been mentioned yet is 50% of him is owned by Real Madrid. So I'm not sure exactly how that would affect the deal. He's quite a young centre-back. Xabi Alonso really liked him and wanted to bring him back to Real Madrid when he was there, so there's already some sort of connection there, and it looks like, at the end of the day, maybe he's not good enough to just come straight into the first team like Lacroix is, but in terms of a backup, if we're looking for a Jacobo Ramon, then that probably means we're definitely going to be getting rid of 2 or 3 centre-backs off of our books. Price posted this from Matt Law, which is another affirmation. Crystal Palace are expecting a bid from Chelsea and could part fund the move by selling Chalobah to Como. So it's all going to get a bit mixed up, isn't it? Because Chalobah to Como, Ramon to Chelsea, obviously you would think that is kind of the part exchange that's going on there. The thing about Trevor Chalobah is the pure profit, isn't it, at the end of the day? I would expect us, with 2 years currently left on his deal, so there is an option for a third, but I don't know if the player can activate that or whether we can just activate it. But with 2 years left on his deal, I would expect to get 30 mil from Trevor Chalobah, and the thing about that is you might even look at that and be like, oh, that doesn't actually seem that much, but at the end of the day it is, because if you buy a centre back for 50 mil and sell him for 70 a year later, you make 20 mil profit, and so even though the amount of money and the worth seems higher, at the end of the day, if you make 30 mil bank pure profit on the books for Trevor Chalobah, then it's much easier to sell him for a lower price, because we're going to make more money. Well, maybe not that much more, but we'll make a similar amount of money from selling Chalobah for 30-40 mil than we would selling Enzo Fernandez for 120 mil. Do you know what I mean? Just because of the cost of the player, it really changes the profit. And that, you know, and at the end of the day, yes, we could maybe fight for more, but if Chalobah wants to leave, we want to get new recruits in as well. It doesn't make sense to put an extortionately high price on him at the end of the day. Como just gotten into the Champions League, but they still need to be careful with their money. If Trevor Chalobah wants to move, as long as the price is reasonable and it helps us fund the moves for Maxence Lacroix and potentially looking at Jacobo Ramon as well to bring in, you know, another backup into our squad, then I would just want us to do the right thing, buy Chalobah and sell him to Como so he can continue his career and we can rebuild the squad. And guys, if you've made it this far into the video, and guys, if you've made it this far into tonight's episode of the Stamford Sync, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. And this is my first video with my new camera. It's all a bit wild, but it's probably going to take me a few days to figure it out. So there's lots to talk about potentially selling Trevor Chalobah to Como. Pice posted this: breaking, Como send official bid for Chalobah. Inter Milan also interested. So we had heard that there was interest from Italy. We already knew about the Como stuff, but also it looks like Inter Milan would like to get a piece of that Chalobah pie. So I think, you know, at the end of the day, if there's two clubs in for him, I think we'd probably rather sell him to Como, you know, because if we're looking to, you know, facilitate deals with the likes of Jacobo Ramon, there is some tinfoil hatters in my comment section that have been talking about Nico Paz as well, and there's this potential for him to be, it's all complicated, Real Madrid buy him back and then sell him on or whatever, but with Fabregas being there, obviously, you know, albeit short-lived, a storied Chelsea player, it's a good idea to keep up a good relationship with Como at this point, isn't it? And they've made a bid, which is interesting because the news last week was saying that they found his valuation a little bit too high. Now, maybe that was us going in being like, we want 50 mil for Trevor Chalobah. Like, we don't know because Chelsea have been so secretive in this window. We're not seeing huge amounts of news or money fly about, or we're not really finding out about anything until the final moments. Like with Maxence Lacroix today, like with Marco Palestra yesterday, like Trevor Chalobah and Como, there was some rumblings about it, but the minutiae and the detail was really kept under wraps. So that is all we've got right now about Maxence Lacroix, Trevor Chalobah and Jacobo Ramon, but if the Marco Palestra deal was anything to go by, things can really be expected to ramp up quickly, and you can be sure I'll be getting a video out as soon as it happens. So with the immediate transfer news out of the way, we're going to pick up on a couple of other little tidbits that have been floating around. Pice posted this via Kieran Gill of the Daily Mail. New, Xabi Alonso is not expected to exclusively rely on the 3-4-2-1 that brought success at Bayer Leverkusen. Palestra can also be used as a fullback as well as a wing-back on either side. However, Alonso urged his club to bring in the versatile Italy international for a reason. So the big question so far is, how are we going to play? And obviously that's quite formational. I've done loads of videos about it now. I did a video with 4 potential different formations that we could play and how they might look based on some of the players that we've got. I also did a video the other day, and I'm still kind of thinking this might be the case, about starting in a 4-2-3-1 and then going into the back 3 in attack, right? So for instance, if a Palestra starts on right back and you've got Yoro Hato starting at left back, then Palestra can go up to become the right wing back and Yoro Hato can tuck in to become the left centre back, and we defend in a 4 and we attack in a 3. So all of that sort of stuff is very possible. We've seen it under Pochettino. We've seen it under Enzo Maresca. Not so much with Liam Rosinia. But at the end of the day, Xabi Alonso, it's about the principles, right? It's not just about he's going to play this formation all the time. He has foundational principles about the style of play. It's possession-based. It's high tempo, high pressing, and he likes his attackers to dynamically be able to react to what's going on in the game. So I do find this really interesting. When I released my video yesterday morning at 1:30, all these late videos are killing me, man. I did a video about Marco Palestra signing for us, and I had a look at the last 20 appearances that he made for Cagliari in Serie A, and I screenshotted 4 different lineups he took part of in different positions. He played as a right mid in a 4-4-2, a right wing back in a 3-5-2, a right back in a 4-2-3-1, and a right winger in a 4-3-3. So Palestra is so versatile on that right side. Basically anywhere on the right flank he is available to play. He can play right wing, he can play right wing back, he can play right back. Right centre back I haven't seen. He's obviously an attacking player, albeit he's 6'1" and he's got a bit of physicality about him, which is why Xabi Alonso is interested, because he thinks it'll be good for the Premier League. And I think the truth of the matter is, to be completely honest, it's not going to be as simple as this is Xabi Alonso's formation. I covered a really, really interesting article from a Bundesliga journalist called Dr. Konstantin Eckhart, a little while ago, who was a Bayer Leverkusen reporter, right, from the Bundesliga. And he said that, albeit they did keep their formation the same every time, he got players to do very different roles based on the game that they had in front of them, right? So it wasn't always just like, Pep is very much like, this is the way I play, let's go. Mikel Arteta with Arsenal has been very much like, this is the way that we play, let's go. But Xabi Alonso seems more adaptable than that. And when you think we've got so many versatile players in the squad, Yara Hato, left back, left centre back, Valentin Barco can play all over the place. We're probably going to sell him, but we'll get into that in a minute. But Malo Gusto can play everywhere on the pitch. Marco Palestra, again, anywhere on that right flank. Reece James, right centre back, is centre midfield, right back as well, is probably to our benefit, and maybe it will help keep opponents guessing how we're going to set up against them. So it's probably not just going to be. I feel like we will see us attack in a 3 a lot, one way or another, regardless of the starting formation, but I expect it to adapt and evolve, especially at the beginning, because it's going to be about finding the best way to get the best out of the players that we got. So rather than Xabi Alonso going in and being like, this is my formation, this is how we play, it's probably going to be more like, right, these are the players that I've got, and these are the kind of players that I wanted to bring in to facilitate certain things, but ultimately this is what fits the team best. So next up, we're going to talk about Giovanni Quenda. Pice posted this via Kieran Gill again. Chelsea new signing Quenda is set to travel to London on Saturday. Contacts within Quenda's camp describe a no days off mantra, with the winger spending hours every day working with his personal trainer. The 19-year-old is ready to hit the ground running after cutting short his pre-season, I assume that meant holiday, to make a big impression on new Chelsea boss Xabi Alonso. So this is great news. Quenda didn't go to the World Cup. He did play a couple of the international friendlies and stuff throughout the season, but he didn't get called up to the squad proper. So instead of just chilling out, he's like, right, I want to hit the ground absolutely running. And he will be looking at players that we're bringing in, and the big, all the questions there are with the squad at the moment. Emmanuel Omega, for instance, has already been mentioned with him that he might not be part of the plans going forward. There's still loads of questions everywhere. Quenda will want to come in and instantly make an impact and instantly say to Xabi Alonso, play me, I'm really worth playing. What I hope this means is that he would be willing to play a wing-back role, because supposedly the reason he didn't initially follow Ruben Amorim to Man United was because he didn't want to play a wing-back anymore. But the truth of that is, playing as a wing-back under Amorim is very different from playing as a wing-back under Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso's wing-backs are incredibly attacking, and what we do know about Giovanni Quenda, very, very creative player, really, really good at, loads of assists last season. He was obviously really unlucky to be out injured for so long, and he spent time at Cobham when that happened already, so he's obviously got a really good attitude. But if he's willing to play that left wing-back role, that's going to be really interesting. Obviously, we've sold Marc Cucurella, and I do feel like we still need to bring in an experienced replacement. But if Giovanni Quenda is arriving being like, Gaffer, I'm here, let's go, what do you want me to do? Then that's really promising, and I love a player with an attitude like that coming into the squad. So we're going to have a little chat about Malo Gusto, because it is all just interlinked at the moment, isn't it? And it's all happening very, very quickly. Pice posted this via Simon Johnson. Multiple clubs in the Premier League and Europe are interested in signing Gusto. So what I don't know if that means, is it multiple clubs in the Premier League or multiple and multiple clubs in Europe, or is it multiple clubs from the Premier League and Europe, which could be, because we know about the City links basically, don't we? And what we have heard a little while ago is Inter Milan also interested in Malo Gusto, which, if you think about it, would make even more sense now that we've just pipped them to Marco Palestra. So initially, when the Palestra stuff went through, £45 million was the amount being quoted if we're going to sell Gusto to City. And already I was like, look, if we can get 50 million for Malo Gusto, yeah, wicked. Like, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a place for him in the squad. He's got some similar attributes to Palestra, albeit he doesn't get fouled as much and he didn't win Defender of the Season in his league last year. But at the same time, just the base principles are there for, Malo Gusto could potentially be moulded into a right wing back in Xabi Alonso's system. But if we can get 50 mil for him, then I think we should just do it, to be honest. It's crazy. We bought him for 20 mil like 3 years ago. That his book value is going to be like 10, 15 mil now. And that's a huge amount of profit, which we can reinvest into the squad. We've got Marco Palestra, so we can invest that in another, an older, more experienced right back, or a younger, either way, or someone to compete. But there's loads and loads of options there that we could reinvest that money into, potentially a backup for Palestra, and one more catered to Xabi Alonso's style, right? because I'm not convinced that Malo Gusto would be able to play like Jeremy Frimpong or even like Grimaldo. And also, I think the City link is going to be tantalising for Malo Gusto because he obviously, Enzo Maresca absolutely loved him, played him everywhere. And ever since, for me, Maresca kind of ruined him actually, because Pochettino showed us Malo Gusto, fantastic right back, plays at right back, gets 8 assists in the season, absolutely phenomenal, brilliant. Maresca comes in, plays him absolutely everywhere, loves the versatility, but then all of a sudden his output just completely declines and he just completely tails off. Is he one of the players that, struggled with Liam Rosenior or, really like Maresca? Like, I guess I would assume so, because he was getting so much game time under him, and the City links are real at the end of the day. So it's interesting, isn't it? Because the two clubs that you can surmise at the moment that would come in for Malo Gusto would be Inter Milan, probably less willing to pay the money that we want, because that is probably going to be in and around the money that we just paid for Marco Palestra at the end of the day, isn't it? And obviously he's a little bit older and doesn't know the league, and it probably would have made more sense for Inter to get Palestra if they were able to. And would they want to pay more than that for a Malo Gusto? I'm not 100% sure, because money's a little bit tighter over in Italy than it is in the UK in terms of the football. The City link makes the most sense to me. I'd like to know what you guys think about it. I've had loads of really good chats about Gusto recently, and it's just one of those, man. Like, I'm a bit indifferent at the end of the day. Like, I didn't love the idea of him being our starting right wing back, and I was thinking, if we are going to play this kind of wing back kind of formation with really attacking wing backs, I don't really think Gusto's set up to be that guy. But we've got him Marco Palestra, and it was like one of the guys said in one of the tweets earlier, like, there's a reason that Xabi Alonso wants him, and the very specific type of player that he is. He is very versatile, but he did spend the majority of last season on loan at Cagliari playing as a right wing back. So look, if we can get 50 mil for Gusto, that's pretty good, isn't it? So if it comes along, I think we should just do it, and promote a Kavuma McQueen, or take a look at Jamie Gittins as a attacking winger back sort of thing. Honestly, Gusto has just fallen off so much recently that if you can get that amount of money for a player like him, I just think it's the right thing to do. And the last piece of news we're going to talk about today is pertaining to Enzo Fernandez, and it's coming back around again because everything's starting to happen all of a sudden. Pice posted this via Ben Jacobs. Real Madrid have started personal terms talks with Enzo Fernandez, and approach to Chelsea is likely to follow. So, I thought personal terms has already been agreed. Just saying, that's what came out a little while ago, isn't it? Personal terms already agreed, but supposedly not. If this is happening, then maybe that was a smokescreen. Enzo Fernandez putting stories out in the media to try and make it happen quicker. But Chelsea have been steadfast and have not just bowed to, to be fair, apparently no official approach has been made. But also we do know that Real Madrid reached out to Chelsea a little while ago to talk about whether there was, any wiggle room essentially with the price, rather than being an actual negotiation for him. They kind of wanted to find out where we stand on the 120 million price tag. All of the news is saying that is what we want. What that really means, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, is something like 100 mil. Anything north of 100 mil is good. We make a profit on it, we get him out, and it is just over. The really interesting prospect, again, is, it's kind of been speculated on, but there's been no official links on it, is trades with Real Madrid. They've got a few players that I would love to see in our squad at the moment, and you've got to think, with the ridiculous amount of players that they're bringing in, all experienced players for the most part as well, chances are that they're going to want to get rid of some of their players, right? So, is Arda Güler going to get loads of game time now? Bernardo Silva's been signed. Carreras is, apparently he wants to stay and they want to keep him, but at the same time, they've just signed Marco Correa, haven't they? The centre-back situation is Dean Howson as well. I think someone recently, it wasn't a news piece, it was speculation, but one of the Chelsea reporters said something about, I don't know why we don't go in for Dean Howson. It's like another young potential centre-back option, although probably very much more expensive than Jacobo Ramon. There's the likes of Camavinga, there's Aurelien Tchouameni, there's so many players at Real Madrid who might be looking at their situation right now and being like, oh, lots of these players coming in, not sure what's going on here. And we know Jose Mourinho isn't exactly one for bringing up the kids, is he? He likes ready-made players with lots of experience that he can tell what to do and they just do it. He's not really, I'm going to develop this team of youngsters. Like, he's going to come in, and he's already doing it, do you know what I mean? Like I say, buying all these experienced players, and Enzo Fernandez could well be one of them. So if Enzo Fernandez is going to be coming in, there's a few players at Real Madrid who might be starting to get a little bit twitchy and being like, well, when am I ever going to get to play? So it would make sense if a good trade at the end of the day were to come out of this, because I feel like if they were just willing to spend the 120 mil on him, they probably already had done it. Like, look at how quickly they moved in for Cucurella. Look at how quickly they're moving in for all of their other targets. If the 120 mil, if they were set on it, I think that it had already happened. So there's probably some reticence to spend that amount of money. But like I say, for me, the thing that makes the most sense at the moment seems to be not a trade deal, because player trading is not really a thing in football, but we sell you Enzo Fernandez and you sell us this player, and we balance out our books and all this, that and the other. So let me know what you think. And again, who would you like to see from Real Madrid if we were going to get a sort of swap deal? Nice one, guys. I'm going to start wrapping the video up there, but I want to know what you think about everything that we've talked about today. Oh god, sweaty. It's literally 11 o'clock and I'm sweating. It's horrible. So Maxence Lacroix, we are negotiating. It's happening. The talks have started, and based on the Marco Palestra stuff, I expect it to happen fast as well. Trevor Chalobah to Como, it's starting to feel like that's just going to happen as well. Be interesting to hear what more goes on with Jacobo Ramon as well, because if we're going out and buying these players, then that has to mean that we're going to start selling the likes of Badiashile, Disasi, Tosin or Fofana soon as well, doesn't it? Xabi Alonso not exclusively expected to play the three at the back, but I have a feeling it kind of will be our go-to attacking phase formation, but I'd really like to know what you guys think about that as well. Giovanni Quenda's putting the work in. I can't wait to see this kid play, man. Seemingly Manchester City and Inter Milan are interested in Gusto. Tell me yes or no in the comments if you want to see him go. And the Enzo Fernandez personal term talks have started again, or never happened in the first place, or it's a continuation, or who knows. But what is probably likely is Real Madrid are soon going to approach us to try and buy our superstar midfielder. Nice one, guys. I hope you're all having an absolutely wicked day, and I'll catch up with you very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.